Yo, I'm Drnkie.
I'm TheFlood.
And welcome to the Fortnite Update, where we talk about all the news, esports, and patch notes related to Fortnite. This is episode 36 of the podcast. It is May 23rd. Let's start the show.
So, Drnkie, you just got back from the Fortnite 40.
I did get back from the Fortnite 40. The Fortnite 40 was at Full Sail, which is like Full Sail is like a media, new age college that's like based out of here in Orlando. You know, if you want to go into like film editing, game design, they do all types of multimedia like stuff. And they built this new arena where they actually have an esports team now, the Full Sail Armada. They built them in an arena to play in. And so it was like,
cool.
Dude, it was beautiful in there. I did not expect it to be that professional, you know, like no offense to them. It's just, I've been to a lot of these, like, hey, we're esports stuff. Like I've been in those. I walked in, I was like, oh no, this is like some quality production. The lighting and the screens, like it was gorgeous in there, man. And so to kick off, they had their first tournament, which they called the Fortress 40, where they invited 10 streamers, 10 students, 10 faculty, and 10 professors, all to play against each other in 3 games of Fortnite. You know, with a typical like point format, and I took home the victory. I took home the beautiful trophy.
Once again,
the Fortress 40. Boom.
Esports professional Drnkie retiring as a champion once again, perhaps 5th time. I don't know.
5th time, 6th time. Who's counting anymore?
I can't even keep track of how many times you've been a champion and retired.
I will say this: I am now officially 1 for 1 at LAN tournaments. Flood 1 for 1 at LAN tournaments. So.
Woo. Let's go.
So thank you to everyone over at like Full Sail and the Full Sail Armada for the invite. It was a great event. You know, I was blown away at the production.
That's huge. You kind of expect that out of a media university, I suppose, that they're going to go all out with the media related stuff. So that's really cool, and I think that's such a good fit. And man, that sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for bringing it up and letting me talk about just being a champion. It's just all I do. But let's move on.
I need to find a preschool-based LAN tournament that I can win and just like throw my trophy in your face. That's what I need. Like, 'cause I need some children that I can beat up, basically, in Fortnite. Like, I don't know how else I'm gonna get one. So.
Oh man, I believe in you. I think you can find it. And like, you know, maybe you have to pitch it. Maybe you have to pitch it, and then 9 months down the road, you just flip around. And you're like, I want to compete in this.
There you go. Got it. All right.
All right.
Evil at all.
Let's move on to the new patch for Season 9. Patch 9.1 has dropped inside of Fortnite, and it's a doozy, Flood. All right.
Oh, baby.
Let's start talking about the weapons and items first. These shadow bombs have had their availability reduced on the floor loot from 8.3 to 0.83 to 0.67. Reduced availability from chests down 1%, and then reduced the drop count from 3 to 2. Epic goes on to say that the shadow bombs have seen a lot of late game use, and we wanted to encourage risk versus reward when picking up the item. By leaving the max stack size the same and reducing their availability, the item's potential remains the same, but swapping a spot for it early is a bit riskier. So what do you think about these adjustments to the shadow bomb?
I think that, their statement seems to make some level of sense to me. I know the shadow bombs seem to be like the go-to item in high level comp and scrim play right now, and especially in the end game when you're always fighting for crazy high ground. So the potential to fall and or the potential to retake high ground, the shadow bomb is fantastically useful. So I get that. I don't think that this will affect that usage. I think they will all still use them. I don't see this stopping them. I don't think that'll be a problem because they're not going to swap it in for something else because there's no better item, so you're still going to just try to collect them.
Sure.
Now you'll just have 1 less or 2 less or whatever it was, and maybe by the time you get to the end game. As a pub player, it does not affect me whatsoever. And I think in the high level play, I am doubtful that it'll be a big change.
I think this does affect you more as a pub player versus a comp player. I think off the top of my head, what this is addressing is people being able to disengage very effectively early on into the game. If you use shadow bombs, you know, that third shadow bomb is usually the time that people get away. And to me, it just felt like playing yesterday. I wasn't having people getting away from me using the shadow bomb, where before it was kind of like people just kept bouncing away from me. I'm like, all right, well, they're gone. I'll just like start farming up in this area because that person's he's gone. He's not coming back. I think that the reducing the drop size of it down 1 is huge, because now it makes like just having that extra one is such a huge value that they took away early in the game. I think this is a good adjustment for it. I think this is a right way to address concerns. I think they were spot on with this kind of buff, or I'm sorry, nerf, because I'm not one of the people who like mobility. I definitely don't like stealth mechanics in games, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're probably right thinking about it through that way. I just haven't noticed it. I mean, I've only played a few games since 9.1 dropped, and I didn't notice a significant difference. And I just shadow bombs honestly have not affected my pub games in general that much. Like it's not that they've just never been that big a deal. I don't know.
Okay, moving on. The semi-auto sniper has been unvaulted. It is now available in vending machine, chest, and floor loots, available in uncommon and rare variants. Since the thermal rifle and scope revolver have been both recently vaulted, this week we wanted to bring back an oldie but a goodie. They said that with a straight face, by the way, to round out the medium long range item lineup. Yeah, I don't. Okay, what are your thoughts? Semi-auto snipers back in the game.
I did not see this coming. I did not see this coming. I remember when they vaulted it, it seemed like I don't remember what my thoughts were at the time that they did vault it now. I'm wondering if I liked that or hated it. I don't know. I feel like I probably hated it. I hate most things. I'm kind of glad that it's kind of fun that it's back. I haven't hit a ton of shots with it yet. I won't lie. I'm not used to it anymore or something. But I was like, oh, it clicks so fast. But then I was missing everything. It's horrible.
I don't know why this is in the game. Like we took out,
weird, right?
The reason we took out the thermal and the scope revolver is because nobody wanted to use them. That's the reason they got taken out of the game. They just were they were loot clutter when you could be getting other items that would help you, and then they just go and take this back, and they put the auto sniper in the game, and I don't see where if the semi-auto sniper didn't fit into the meta before, it definitely doesn't fit into the meta now, man. Is
it because they're not trying to fix the meta so much as they're trying to make the loot pool have more medium range items? Like
that's what I'm
thinking. The loot pool itself needs more medium long range items in their mind, so they're adding. Well, we've got one, so we'll just throw it back in. Like, I guess that sort of makes sense, but I don't see how it helps the game.
I don't either, because I would rather take a scope revolver over this. Like the semi-auto sniper is not that great of a gun.
Scope revolver.
Yeah, like you had a chance with it. The semi-auto, it does 70 body shots when we have like legendary infantry rifles that do like 46, like very similar damage. It doesn't seem like that, but you got to think
clicks faster and is more beautiful and is more
it's hit scan. Available. Yeah, it's just like I don't. It's bizarre to me.
So as you said, I think it just creates more clutter. Like it's trash in the loot pool because it's not that great. It just fills a gap for no reason, which just means you're getting less of the sniper that you want and or the infantry rifle that you want.
And I don't like if we were gonna do this, why didn't we just keep the infantry rifle as a projectile weapon, and that would be the kind of like that would be the semi-auto sniper that's kind of worth it because it shoots faster. You don't get the scoped, it's easier for me to not hit scope weapons. I
feel like they put this in just to give us something to talk about. I don't know. It's a weird one.
They just hate, they love numbers. They love crunching numbers and like this percentage and that percentage. There is someone over there who has like a fetish with making sure that guns only hit like 2% usage or something, bro. There's like,
dude, if you saw that spreadsheet, you get turned on, son. Some of those formulas. Ooh, yeah. Excel spreadsheet. Human god.
And then we bring it up because there is another adjustment to the loot pool. The combat shotgun has had its availability reduced from 2.015 to 1.4 on the floor loot, and then it has its chest loot availability dropped from 2.1 to 1.8. When compared to other items from similar rarity, the combat shotgun was dropping a bit too frequently. This change will put it closer in line with other items. Combat shotgun being a bit reduced.
I think they're just desperate for us to use the tactical shotgun, for just season on season. Or like, why won't they use the tactical? Why won't they just use the tactical shotgun? And no one wants to because it's just never the good shotgun. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I think they might be right because I honestly did find more of those than I did find tacticals. Like I did not find as many blue tacks or even green tacks as I did the combat shotgun. So maybe it was dropping slightly too high. Again, in the few games that I've played since 9.1 dropped, I haven't noticed a massive difference. I'm still finding them. But I don't like this because that is the shotgun now. Like I hate to tell you Fortnite, but we're always going to have like the shotgun. There's always going to be the shotgun, and the combat shotgun is the shotgun.
It really is. Ever since they made the adjustment, They like hotfixed the combat shotgun and said that they were making it more consistent, whatever that meant. Once they did, the combat shotgun became a banger of an item to use. All you wanted to do use that thing. Now that I've gotten used to like how fast I got to be tracking people to get the aim down on it, like I'm just running over people with it. And this is a noticeable drop nerf, man. I feel like when I find like a blue combat shotgun on the ground, like I'm hitting a gold mine. I'm loving it because before I would always be able to find them. And now I'm actually struggling. It's like you said, the tac shotgun is like everywhere now. And it's just, I hate the tac shotgun. It spreads way too wide. The damage is too low for its spread. Like it just, it's insane. And I don't know why they want us to using it all the time.
Yeah, I just, it's like the proliferation of a weaker item for some reason. Like, I'm great. I now that you've been in this for a minute though too, the combat shotgun, the pump is still nerfed. We've been at it for a little while. Are you coming around to the combat shotgun over the pump?
Oh yeah. Over the pump, I think you can make a strong argument that the combat shotgun is a better weapon. I don't know if you can make an argument to say that the combat shotgun is better than the pump in the competitive meta, where it was all about like, you know, one pumping somebody, making sure you get that one wall edit and being able to one hit somebody. What I don't like about this meta versus the pump shotgun, and this is what goes back to, is like you're trading damage. You have to take damage. This is a damage taking meta where the one pump would prevent you from taking damage. Now you can take it, but the combat shotgun I think is at times a lot funner to use too. Being able to hit multiple people really fast, it's fun. It's good gunplay.
I honestly think the people who are still like kind of butthurt about it just need to play more games and just get more comfortable with it, and they just need to give it a chance and get comfortable with it, because I feel like it rewards good play, good aim, because it really does feel more consistent than the pump. The pump, a one pump felt so satisfying, but sometimes it also felt super random. And when it let you down, you're like, why? What? I did it. What? Why? I don't feel that as often with the combat shotgun. When I miss, I miss. When I hit, I hit. Like I kind of, it feels correct to me.
Sure.
The trading damage thing, I get that, though. I'm kind of enjoying that in terms of the meta too, because it feels more like a fight. Like it feels like a brawl. Like it feels, like I don't know. There's something kind of fun about that. It's not great at certain times, I agree, but I don't know. I'm pro combat shotgun over pump at this point.
The problem I run into is where if I play a lot of solos, the combat shotgun's really good, but once I move into duos and squads, that's when I start having more issues, because sometimes you don't have the damage. Sometimes you get caught in a bad position. There's a ton of mobility in the game right now. And so the one pump, you'd be able to have 20 health, have someone jump on you after a fight, and you have a fighting chance. If you have 20 health and you don't have time to heal up and you're getting third party after a fight, the one pump saved you. The combat shotgun, the drum gun, the tac, nothing's going to save you in that scenario. That's why I don't like about it.
Miss Siphon.
I would say the pump.
Moments, I think.
The siphon, yes, but like the pump would get you through those situations, because you could box up and like let them get close enough and then pump them right in the face and like get through that situation. It's just in a meta where we take more damage, the pump is a better gun.
You got to start carrying your flintlock again, man.
I guess I do. You
bop him for 70, you're flying away. Boom, you're golden.
To talk about like the shotgun meta overall, what you're saying about how like they want the tac shotgun to be a thing, I think they have to vault the tac shotgun and give us the double barrel, and that's the only way we're going to see a variant.
That's interesting, especially in the current version of the world right now, where like the double barrel wouldn't be good except for that one specific use case where you just described, where you're boxed up, they got close, you're low health. That's when you want it.
Yeah, so I think that's the only way they're going to see us using variants in shotgun, is when they give us two very different shotguns, where the tac shotgun and the combat shotgun are pretty similar. The combat shotgun overall is better in most scenarios, and that's why it gets played. But I think
I would want both shotguns then, though, because then I'd want my combat shotgun and I'd want my double barrel,
which you could do.
Want no shotgun timer. No shotgun delay.
That'd be a little overpowered.
Swap to that bad boy, What I mean?
So I think they should do something
that
like that.
That would be the meta. You just run both of those in like an AR, and away you go.
Because the double barrel was never overly powerful by itself. It was more had to do with the grappler, and so now that the grappler is not in the game, I think they should give the double barrel another look, put it in the game other than the tac, and see where we are with it. Because I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Shadow bomb double barrel meta.
I mean, look, you can hear it coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a good argument to keep a trap on you too.
All right, speaking of the old shadow bombs, there's a couple of bug fixes in the game. Man, there's a myriad of bug fixes. I'm just gonna start rattling these off a little bit, and if they interest you, let me know.
Though? I want more patches that have a myriad of bug fixes.
Yes,
keep with that. This is a good patch.
Normally, we don't go over bug fixes just like one or two things, but this is a lot of bug fixes. So, dropping part of a consumable item stack no longer interrupts using the consumable. Thank God. I didn't even know that was a bug. I thought that was just, it was in the game for so long. I thought it was a design.
Garbage design. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were like, oh, we're just going to do this now. Apparently it was a bug and it's gone now. So we can split our teammates off while we're healing up now.
Yeah. Drop those when time is critical.
Shadow bombs correctly leave the player's inventory when no charges are left. Shadow bombs are consumed properly when quickly picking up a replacement item during activation. The combat shotgun now applies appropriate environmental damage fall off. This was basically, if you knew, it's one of those things that at any distance, the combat shotgun was doing full damage to walls. So you could 3-shot a wood wall from like mid range. Now you won't be able to do that, which I guess is nice.
I mean, it's good. It's ultimately correct.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
The ability to move is no longer lost if the Rift to Go was used with balloons. So after we take out balloons, now we're fixing it. Nice.
That one's what?
Yeah. The bush now correctly attaches the player in specific animations such as skydiving. Hold on. The bush is like just completely bugged out right now, right? Have you been noticing this?
I haven't used a bush in so long. It's silly.
I keep shooting people who have bushes on, and their bushes are not coming off. And I know if you hit like their feet, their hands, or their head, they take damage and their bush doesn't come off. Am I really hitting people's hands this much in this game and I'm not hitting their bodies? Like, it's crazy. I'm shooting people with shotguns multiple times and I'm like,
some people clapping cheeks, you're clapping digits.
I guess so, man. I don't know. I just feel like it's bugged.
I don't know. That's so strange. I haven't, since the bush stopped protecting you from damage, I stopped caring about it.
Oh, I hate
when it was a shield, I was into it. Other than that, I don't care. It's still funny. It's still a meme, but that's about it.
It's horrible.
Every now and again, I'll get like a random duo partner throws on a bush. I'm just like, oh, what a guy. I like him.
And the problem with the bush is like its original design, like hiding yourself and concealing yourself, it no longer does that. Like, that's not what it's used for. And now it's this whole other thing, and I can't stand it, bro. Like, I'm just like, ugh. All right. Resolved inconsistent behavior when the flintlock while using the flintlock pistol during crouch. This was the thing where even if you were crouch, if you were looking down at a certain angle, it would still knock you up and use the you would get knocked back basically. So if you're aiming down at somebody, it would be really weird sometimes.
Now, okay, I'm not looking at the notes right now. Is it flint lock or flint knock?
Flint knock.
Is it really? Oh,
yes.
I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
Oh my God. We do a podcast, Flood.
Pistol. Oh my God, I'm the worst.
All right. Remote explosives will now open and close with doors they are stuck to. Which, is that the C4 remote explosives?
I think so.
Okay.
And if they're working on that, is that just for the custom stuff, like the whatever creatives? Is that why that's there?
I guess it would have to be, right? Because that's kind of weird.
Or it's like an indication that it's coming back.
Oh God.
And then I'm a sad boy.
Are we farming these out to the interns? Is this an intern bug like that he fixed? You never know.
Honestly, it's just a bug that they finally fixed from months ago. Like, months ago, they finally got around to it.
So those are the bug fixes, the weapon issues, dude. The balloons in the C4 finally got fixed after all this time.
Woo! Oh, thank the Lord, you know.
And like, I didn't even know that you could not use a door if it had C4 attached to it. So
neither did I.
Yeah. All right.
That's a high priority bug.
Let's move on to the gameplay changes in this patch. Introducing hotspots. Every match, select name locations will be marked in gold text on the map. These hotspots represent the presence of loot carriers. Shoot down the carriers for additional high quality items. A minimum of 1 hotspot a game, 25 chance of 2 hotspots, 5% chance of 3 hotspots. The loot carriers will drop a weapon of rare or higher quality along with 2 stacks of ammos. Hotspots will have between 12 to 16 loot carriers depending on the size of the location. This is a pretty huge change to where players are going to be dropping in the game. What do you think about the hotspots?
It's really interesting, and it's I mean, it's yet another variation of an Apex mechanic.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they delayed it. I'm glad that they made it their own. It's super interesting. I definitely have been dropping at the hotspot because fun, and you can actually land on the carriers and like ride them. It's pretty neat. Anyway, because if you land first, like you still need a gun to shoot them down. They're still annoying. Sometimes they get caught in things or whatever. I love that this is going to force people to land at haunted hills or weird places, or not, it doesn't force them to, but it gives you an incentive to.
Yeah.
And I think that's necessary for some of the locations that there's no reason to go to otherwise. When the hotspot is Salty Springs, I have no interest because I'm like, that's just going to be a gong show. It was already
nice,
a spicy drop, and I'm just... Oof.
Hey, man, when you're coming out lucky landing with 8 kills, it's nice. It's kind of nice, you know?
The guy beside you who cracked open one of those bad boys and opened up a rocket launcher, you're not a happy camper. You know what I mean? Actually, and I was that guy at a different drop before. Like, that was my first item, but I was like, okay, I guess this is what's happening. So, and then, like, I find that what ends up happening for me, at least in my games, was I would get an item out of, like, I'd get one item, I'd use that to shoot something, I'd get a good item, and then I would just win the POI, and then just spend my time like knocking them out and open them all. And that's why I was finding, maybe that's why I didn't notice the combat shotgun problem, was because I kept finding combat shotguns out of those things like crazy.
Maybe that's what I gotta do.
Yeah. So I mean, it's neat. It just adds more high tiered loot to the loot pool. It's basically adding treasure chests back in so that in the entire environment and the entire world of the map, there will be more high tier loot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I like that it diversifies its drops more than anything. That's more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's a very, like you said, it's like Apex introduced this idea of like a hot drop. I definitely like the way Fortnite implemented their hot drop more than Apex, where Apex, where you just get better quality loot. This is adding, 12 to 16 new loot chances to any POI, where some POIs are pretty bad on loot. If you're a late dropper, if you get a bad house that didn't have a lot of loot, now you have options to come out of the house and start dropping these to get better items to fight people inside of the POI. It'll be interesting to me to see how much people keep dropping at these hotspots once this thing's been implemented for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, once the kind of hype dies down. I'll like to see how many people are still taking the hot drops, because it doesn't, like, you don't get a massive advantage doing it. If you win a POI, you're usually gonna come out with good loot anyways.
Pretty kitted either way. Yeah. I don't think this is going to affect, for example, like competitive players. I don't think they're going to care.
You don't think so?
Like, I don't think so. Would they?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, because what this does,
I don't think for them it would be worth the risk of the RNG of, like, if another team goes for it and they get they happen to get one, like, you just lost your whole scrim or whatever. Based on that, like, I don't.
That's true. I can see that. I see where you're coming from.
It's such an RNG based thing that it strikes me as something that, like, they're not going to change their strategy based on, oh well, now that maybe they will. That could change some strategies. Maybe they planned on dropping here, but now there's a hotspot right beside it. No, maybe we'll drop over here instead.
One of the big things I think, and this might be where in competitive play it comes off better for them, is this kind of opens up the opportunity for dropping outside of a POI and making sure you have a small bit of weapons and then going into the POI. When I'm rotating through hotspots, I love doing it because I'm able to start. There's always going to be like 5 or 6 of these things still floating around. So you have chances to find loot. Where a lot of times, when you're rolling through a POI, all the good stuff's already been taken. So your rotations is kind of like, why am I going through a city? Maybe I find
if there
some
aren't
ammo.
Still some flying, there's probably some ground loot because, again, someone filled up their kit and now they left behind, whatever.
Yeah.
That extra combat shotgun or whatever it is. No, that makes some sense. I think adding more loot in this kind of way is fun and interesting. I think it's ultimately good. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm pro it.
And so when it's a hotspot, it makes the text of the POI gold or yellow instead of white. I don't think that's a good enough indicator.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I'm doing in the games, and maybe this is just me because I played the game for so long, I don't really look, and like, I'm not really paying attention to the bus and where I'm dropping. I know I'm going to drop like a dusty or whatever, or I'm just going to, most of the time I just hit the spacebar button to jump out of the bus and I see where I'm going. I'm just not paying attention and I'm jumping out. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about the hotspots. I wish there was a visual indicator inside of the game as you're on the bus to kind of show like, hey, this is the hotspot where they are. Like
maybe like a golden marker.
Yeah, like a golden marker sticking out for like the first minute of the game or something like that, or until you jump off the bus, something like that. Because it's just, I don't pull up my map. I don't really look where the bus is going when I'm jumping. I go with it,
No, I feel that. That makes a lot of sense to me. I would be okay with that as long as it was like subtle and didn't like, I like maybe like a half, what's it called? A opacity marker or something.
Sure.
It was just there. So you kind of knew, and it only lasted for the first 30 seconds or something. I don't know.
Just something. All right. So going on into the gameplay section, this is a weird one. Equipping the blueprint to start building has been improved in high latency situations. This has already been reverted back to the old way because people were complaining that they were just getting their walls stolen way too fast now.
Yeah, they couldn't win wall fights with a higher ping. If they had the higher ping, they automatically lost, which is how I've always felt, if I'm honest. But
Yeah, so I'm not a big brainiac when it comes to like these little like mechanical nuances inside of the game, but apparently it was bad for people who didn't have like good ass ping.
So what does it explain what they're trying to do?
I think they're just trying to make it to where I think they're trying to find solutions for people who have 5 to 10 latency, like really low ping, just being able to destroy everybody. If you have below 5 ping, you're stealing walls off everybody. Like no one's gonna be able to wall replace you. So I think this is.
I watch streamers who have like single digit ping, and I'm sitting here with like 60 to 80, and I'm just like, oh, must be nice.
Yeah,
it's you're playing a whole different game than I am.
I get like 25 to 35, and I'm like sitting like where I'm I'm like, oh man, it must be nice. So I couldn't even imagine with higher and higher ping.
Oh, dude.
So I think this is indication like this is their first swing at that problem. They know it's a problem. They're addressing the problem. Didn't work out the first try. Back to pulling up the old blueprints again and seeing what's going on. But at least they're looking at it.
I like that they're trying something. Hopefully they can find a solution. It's going to be rough because anything that works in this way has the potential to hurt the guys who do have high ping and have been very used to that. And it's always crappy to have that feeling of going backwards. So for them, it's always going to feel like going backwards because either it's helping everyone else up or it's bringing them down. One way or the other, it's going to suck for them a little bit. Sorry, guys.
All right, moving on to the audio section. This is like way too much to go into.
This is huge. Yeah.
This is a massive audio patch. The biggest thing I can say, removed glider audio tell for players traveling through a slipstream. Nice. Right. I'll be honest with you. It's not, I can land at Neo Tilted and not have all these glider sounds going around me.
Say, you can go back to Tilted now.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Like that was a nightmare. The amount of glider noise was just way too much.
Yeah. I will say playing yesterday,
because you only hear so many things. We've talked about that before. Like you only hear so many near audio cues, and if 3 of them are people gliding through Neo Tilted, well, you just lost the potential to hear footsteps or something else that's important. Like,
I don't know. The audio felt a lot better yesterday playing. I felt like I knew where people were more. I think there's a weird bug going on with people that are above you. I usually heard people above me, but I had a few situations where people were able to, and these weren't build fights, they were just above me. And like, I had zero idea, where before I would kind of have a sense they were above me. I just didn't know where they were. So something got adjusted there that needs a little tinker. But overall, some really good audio changes patch. What do you think?
Yeah, they fixed some of the build noises, I think, related to, and the gunfire through build noises. They did a bunch of little things that I think I'm just so excited that, again, just like I want to see lots of patches with bug fixes, even though 2 of them were completely irrelevant. But I want to see more bug fixes. I want to see more audio fixes. This is exactly the kind of thing I want to see. Like, less. I mean, you threw a sniper rifle back in, but whatever. Sure, okay, if that keeps you busy. But like,
here's my favorite bug fix in the audio section.
Oh, please.
Firing weapons no longer lowers building sounds. That is like half the battle. When you were in your 1x1 or firing from air, if you're firing, you didn't hear people sometimes coming up behind you. And apparently that's why that's like the biggest change in the patch.
Huge.
And it's hilarious that like we had no idea. We had no idea that was going on, We're
just living in a better world now. We were living in ignorance. It's brilliant because like we need more awareness around us in this way, because we don't have the FOV. Again, we've talked about that. Like, if you're not going to give us an FOV, give us like supersonic hearing, baby. Like, we need something. And because there's so many struggles, it's so hard, and it's such a struggle when you just really just do not know what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And like, I look around, but sometimes they're still there, and I don't know.
All right.
More audio cues.
More audio cues. Like, you use the visual indicator because you're a cheater. And that thing is, did you?
I stopped because apparently it turns into mono sound, and I didn't know if that was like.
Did it?
So I'm not.
That's what I think. That is what I thought was going on, because I felt like it just flat, and I really couldn't hear people anymore.
Dude, I loved that for chests and stuff though, in like Tilted, and I could listen to music a little bit louder. It was brilliant. I loved it.
All right, before we wrap up talking about this patch, let's talk about the new LTM that was introduced, the Downtown Drop Ltm by the Jordan brand. Score big when you cop this hang time bundle. Get the grind outfit, the clutch outfit, and challenge pack for the set. Air Jordan, the Jordan brand, and Fortnite teamed up for another crossover event. Did you get to play the downtown drop?
I've only played it like one time so far. I had a feeling that you'd be super stoked about more in the real world crossovers into Fortnite. I know you love that.
I mean, it's just I we're here. This is Fortnite now. It's not even like a big entertainment event. It's literally a brand saying,
and I love
hey, like advertise to people for us, please. Thank you.
And it's a week after the John Wick one. Like you could just it really feels like a marketing platform now more than like it's really fun.
Is this the future of Fortnite?
Timing is unfortunate.
I don't know if I definitely don't enjoy it. If this is the future of Fortnite where it's like every other month or week we're getting like this, it's just if it's gonna feel exhausting to me, and I know some people are gonna love it, but it feels so weird because they do this downtown drop, which is like a Subway Surfer type of game where like you're skating down the street,
like a
collecting
skateboard sort of feeling.
Yeah, and it's like, what does that have to do with Air Jordans or basketball at all?
Skate shoes. They make skate shoes.
They make skate shoes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if Air Jordan. I think the Nike does though. The Nike Jawanowskis or whatever skate.
Sure.
But
it feels.
Yeah, I don't know how it does feel weird though, because like the emote is for shooting hoops. Everything's related to shooting hoops, but then it's like a skateboarding event sort of. Though, to be fair, it would be really hard to implement a good basketball-based event in Fortnite based on the game mechanics. Like that would be rough. So it's kind of fun. You slide around. It's the kind of creative mode. It was a creative-based mode. Like someone made this with help from someone at Nike, I think, but also just creators. It's neat. It's elaborate. They did a great job with it. It's the kind of stuff that I personally never do or care about. So I did it once. It was fun, and I will do it enough to get the free rewards. But other than that, I just don't care.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And I say this as Michael Jordan being my boss, part of Liquid Media as an investor. I love Michael Jordan. I love the brand.
Give him a call. Just tell him what you think.
It just felt like this felt like the biggest group, like people just sitting in a conference room and it's like, let's make this work. No one wants to say no when this happened. Like nobody said no along this. It was just a bunch of people trying to say yes to this opportunity.
Would they say no, because they were saying yes to all that money. There's just a huge
that's what I'm saying. Where it's like
everyone involved was making money.
Or like no one stopped. Like this doesn't really make sense. How does this tie into Fortnite? Like John Wick tied into Fortnite. You know what I mean? They had I don't know.
That one I love because I want to believe that it organically happened to John Wick. I want to believe that they made one that kind of looked like John Wick. Everyone called it John Wick, and it just organically became a partnership. That's what I want to believe, whether it is or not. I want to believe that that's the fantasy in my head. This one clearly is like, oh, the kids are playing Fortnite. Let's throw some money at Fortnite. Like I'm like, yeah, let's go.
That's literally how I feel. Where it's and like, if you think about the Thanos mode, they gave us a Thanos mode in game where you got to play Fortnite and then have Thanos part of it, and like that came out of nowhere. That wasn't part of the universe. The Marshmallow was at their event. There's things that they did that when you're playing Fortnite. This is a thing where like we're not even shooting people. We're not even playing. We're like doing this whole other gameplay style.
But they do.
No one said no.
It's another creative thing, and they are really promoting their creative islands and stuff. So that kind of fits for me. I think I would have had more fun if this was a cross promotion with Space Jam. But whatever, I want to be Michael Jordan, and I want to be the Monstars. Whatever.
See, you'd fit right into that boardroom. You'd be at the top of that table.
Space Jam.
No, for Space Jam, I'd be just.
You'd be all over this. Come on,
you can't appeal to my nostalgia, bro. That's not fair. That's not playing. Not playing fair, man.
It'd be so fun.
All right, That's gonna do it for patch 9.1. Let's move on to some further drama in the community.
Drama.
We typically don't cover drama in the community, but this one's like
not
huge.
Too much. This is taking over.
This is like, it's like everyone's obsessing about it. It's all over Twitter. Like Tfue, we're going to talk about the FaZe Tfue and FaZe breakup, which is breaking the heart of all teenagers once again.
They're all,
like Joey and Dawson breaking up. This is harder. This was trending on on Twitter. Tfue and FaZe was the top trending topics when this was going on, which is crazy.
I mean, it's nuts, but like it makes sense. He's one of the biggest streamers alive right now.
Yeah.
FaZe is a huge esports organization at this point with Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes some sense.
Bare bones of the situation. FaZe Tfue, Turner Tenney, as everyone keeps calling. I love how everyone just throws that in. Like Tfue, also known as Turner Tenney.
Yeah.
he is
Everyone's
in
talking
a.
about Turner like he's like their best friend now. Like
I know,
they all
right?
know him now. All of a sudden, it's like, Turner's like a really this, and Turner's like that. I'm like, okay, best friend of Turner. I bet. Go renew your
Tfue is in a 3-year contract with FaZe, and Tfue's lawyers on behalf of him filed with the California courts, basically saying that the contracts are illegal under state laws, that they violate 2 state laws, and they're trying to get out of it. I think that's the basis of it, and then all of FaZe.
I mean, we don't have to get into the minutia because we don't.
Yeah,
I mean, like
FaZe circled. FaZe circled the wagons on it. Banks came out swinging for FaZe like he does. I mean, honestly, get you a woman that defends FaZe like Banks defends FaZe, because that dude is passionate in his defense of that organization.
He is enthusiastic is an understatement. I 100% agree. He was all over it, and and some of the tweets were like, I literally, guys, I just woke up. I didn't know what was happening, and this is what's just like blowing up. So I'm like, and he's just like swinging back instantly, which is, that's what you want in your organization, I think. So good for him on that front, I suppose. The whole thing seems like a mess, and I don't really, I mean, without knowing the minutia of what's actually been going on behind closed doors, it's hard to say, and I don't want to take a side per se. Like, I think there are predatory contracts out there. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what Tfue's is. There's been a leak contract at this point, and by the time this episode comes out, that on that Friday, apparently FaZe was supposed to have released the contract, because Tfue posted this little video of himself talking about, like, just release the contract. I want everyone to see what I'm talking about. And I don't know what's fair in this industry in terms of this. Like, I haven't seen a lot of the contracts. I don't know what they are standard, but these guys are all signing kids. You know what I mean? Kids who not only don't have law degrees but can barely write essays a lot of the time. Like, I don't know what their grades are. If they're a C student in high school, they're probably not following their contract too closely. They're just really excited to get on a team. So the potential for predatory contracts is massive. So I think ultimately shedding some light on that is probably good for this industry.
It really is. And there's a couple of big things that come to mind in this. First off, Tfue is claiming, and the leak contract kind of backs this up, that they have a claim to 80% of his branded content. And, down the line, they have pretty high percentages. The only thing where Tfue kind of has an advantage is in his tournament winnings, where he keeps 80% and FaZe gets 20%. FaZe says that they have only taken $60,000 from branded content. Other than that, they haven't collected a dime off of anything Tfue has done on Twitch, YouTube, or tournament winnings, anything. They haven't collected a dime, and that seems to be their main argument in the their side of the story. But I think what is interesting about it is that they can collect on that at any time that they want, and that is a scary thing. When I guess he's got 2 years probably left on his contract at this point. That's scary, man.
Like, the thing is, this is a 3-year contract, and in this 1 year that he signed on to FaZe, he has blown up and become one of the biggest Fortnite streamers that exists. So all of a sudden, you really don't need FaZe anymore if you're Tfue, and you want out of this contract because you're like, wait a minute, this is a huge thing now. But now all of a sudden, this is the potential for massive amounts of my money. Mm-hmm. So I get where you might want out. And apparently, they've been trying to renegotiate this contract almost the entire year that he's been in it. So that's part of the reason they haven't collected, maybe, and there's probably stuff in the contract about him ending it early and it being a massive penalty, and or their potential to just strip that money if he wants out of his contract. So I think maybe the reason that this is all a public spectacle is to get him out of it in a different way.
That might
absolutely have been planned. I don't know. And again, like, I can't judge him either way, honestly, because I think it's just an unfortunate situation. I feel like some of these people on the FaZe side are probably good actors and bad actors. Some, like the Tfue team, probably has some good actors, bad actors. Strategically, that's not for me. You know what I mean? But it's such a spectacle, and I really hope it gets resolved. It's a weird that it got this public. That's the weirdest part, I think.
I think it got very public very fast. Their lawyers did. They basically had a press release. The Hollywood Reporter article that got released was basically a press release from the Tfue team, because I didn't think they did a lot of reporting.
Play, right?
Yeah, I did. I read that article, and I can't remember them like having quotes from FaZe, like any response from FaZe in this article, and they knew it was just coming. So this felt like a huge just press release from Tfue side, which you can argue is good or bad. I think the most paramount thing in this to remember is that this case is going to decide how all organizations go forward from this point out, because under the legal filings
goes to a court and gets judged upon, right? Like this could just come to a settlement probably. Like
well,
I feel like they're probably gonna
it's
sort
one or two
out.
things because they did two things. They filed a complaint with the Labor Commission in California, and the Labor Commission is obligated to investigate these claims because they're legitimate from a worker inside of it. So they have to investigate these claims based on the underage drinking, the illegal gambling and stuff, and the unsafe workplaces. You know, FaZe, they do a lot of stunts. People are skateboarding, shredding, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, in Tfue's video, he claimed, he's like, I want that out of there. It's not supposed to be in there.
Yeah,
but
see. Regardless, I don't think they can. I don't think they can stop that.
Mean anything.
Yeah, once the train leaves the station on that type of stuff, I don't think that the Labor Commission in California can stop that. They have to do it because that's their job. Other than that, it is the part where they are claiming that FaZe is acting as an agency, and under that, they are breaking the California statutes on agencies, which is fascinating because I would say probably 80% of esports organizations in America are based out of California. And if FaZe is operating like an agency, if this comes down to set precedents, that means all of them are. And that means that all of the contracts are written. If they don't comply with those agency statutes, this is like a whole other ball game, and everything has to be looked at.
Very deeply regulated. Like talent, that agency is a regulated industry where they're going to have to make sure the percentages are fair, certain working conditions are fair, all these deals are on the contracts are much more regulated, much more fair, hopefully. Yeah. And so esports is kind of in the Wild West in terms of that, but they have definitely been operating as agencies in many capacities. So maybe it's time, you know?
Yep.
I think that esports and gaming, entertainment and streamers, etc., it's a fairly new, it kind of took the world by storm in the last few years. And I think that everything else is just catching up. A lot of the legalese is coming up. We've talked about this a little bit too. Like there's more lawyers now specializing in this. Like that's starting to become its own cottage industry. And I hate to say, like, it's weird of me. Like the youth in me is like, I hate a world where we need more lawyers for this, but at the same time, we need more lawyers for this. Yeah. It's a very good thing that they're doing this because you need someone on your behalf. You need an advocate and you need someone who knows what the heck they're doing. Because as I say, they're hiring like 16-year-olds and stuff or younger are trying to get involved in these contracts. And hopefully they've got a competent parent or who knows.
Yep.
But not everyone does, guys. Like not everyone is really versed in this. Not everyone is ready for this. Like it's not their expertise. It just isn't.
And I know a lot of people are saying that like, Tfue was a 20-year-old. That's an adult. He signed the contract. That's the way it goes. That's not the way it goes.
That's like
that's just not reality. Should he have signed this contract? I don't want to give like, you know, I'm not going to say what anyone should have done. I personally wouldn't have signed the contract, but I also wasn't involved in all the hype and all the excitement of this big new thing in his future. There are reasons that laws against predatory contracts are, you have access to have those laws work on your behalf. And it's because when you get caught up in the excitement of this stuff, that's where you're vulnerable. That's where you don't make good decisions in your life. When your emotions are involved and you don't people will take advantage of you in those situations. And I don't know if FaZe did, you know, I'm not here to say that. I'm here to say that those things happen. And now there's going to be a state judge taking a look at it. And I'm fascinated by this case. Like, I'm not into all the drama, like the giddy schoolgirl, like eating popcorns, kind of like, oh my God, this Twitter beef is huge, back and forth. But as a professional who like lives in this industry, I am like paying attention to this and like excited to just 100%. See if this actually goes to court and see how like the laws apply to this once a judge is like puts a gavel to it.
Well, as you just described, you know, contracts are not always set in stone per se. Like once everyone's like, "Oh, this contract happened, you signed it, it's over." Well, that's not exactly how contracts work. They can definitely be disputed. They can definitely be fought. Some of them are more enforceable than others because sometimes it's not worth enforcing them. Sometimes it is, etc. So you can also expect that contracts for esports professionals are about to get a lot longer with a lot more like minutia built into them, and you're going to start needing the lawyer to do it. Because
absolutely,
it's going to become like it used to be a 10-page contract. It's about to be a 50-page contract. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because they're going to have to start getting like, it's going to be a TOS. So like one of those ones that you never want to read because it's going to be so goddamn long. It just is what it is.
If you haven't had to hire a lawyer before, you're going to have to now, bro. Boom. And like,
and honestly, I hate to say it, but as a thing, I think it's a good thing. This industry is becoming increasingly professional, increasingly like with a breakneck speed.
Yeah. And like kind of to your point about talking about how the real world works with this, the same system that guarantees that Tfue is like obligated to follow his contracts or be in breach is the same exact system that says he has recourse to get out of that contract or that the contract is legal. It's the same system. Those things work in the same world and under the same rule set. So it's just everyone pump their brakes.
I'm like, precedent later on.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's going to be really interesting. And again, this is an industry with so many kids in it. It's going to be fascinating because there's, yeah. I don't know. It'll
some
be
teenagers, some actual kids, allegedly.
Part of me was so down for the gossip, though, man. Like, I honestly, like, as it was blowing up, I was like, "Oh my god, look what he said! Oh my god!"
Yeah,
I couldn't help it. It's human nature. I'm sorry, guys. Like,
it's because it's happening live, baby. You know
I've got no interest in this. I don't have a great deal of knowledge on this, but I'm gonna watch. You know what I mean? From the sidelines. I don't know who's in the wrong necessarily. I don't know the deep stuff that's going on in the back end. I know that Banks has been all over the place emotionally, so it's been interesting to watch him because his tweets are, as you say, passionate in both ways. Like sometimes he seems sad, sometimes he seems angry, sometimes I feel really sympathetic towards him, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that, right? So it's interesting. Tfue's video though was really cringy. Sorry, Tfue.
It's really interesting too to talk about. Like a lot of people are it's like saying who's in the wrong here, and I think the people who are in the competitive industry and the people who follow this stuff are about to get a big dose of. There's situations where people aren't wrong in business. There's just different goals. And like we might come out of this where like FaZe isn't wrong and Tfue isn't wrong. Tfue just wants out of his contract, and that's not wrong. Like he signed a bad deal. He wants out of it. FaZe helped build this guy's platform, and they want to be able to capitalize on their investment. That's not wrong either, man.
And a lot of that might have been built on like a boilerplate contract that they originally had, and that they don't really want to even like FaZe probably doesn't even want to enforce it in certain ways.
Yeah.
But they also want to stay attached in certain ways business wise because there's money on the line here. It's important to them. Like deals were made, so something has to happen, and there's a weird gray area of figuring out what that's going to be, and I think that's what this dispute is going to be. And again, that's why you need lawyers to advocate on what is who's entitled to what at this point. Yeah. How are they going to figure that out?
So, all right, I think we'll wrap it up there before we get.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we kind of kept that surface level because like. Neither of us are lawyers. Like, I don't want to go into deep into that. I'm in the kiddie pool.
Like, I'm not best friends with Banks. Like, I can't phone him up and ask what his thoughts are. You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
When it comes to the law, like,
interesting.
I'm sitting out back in an inflatable pool. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm an adult. I've seen a couple of things. Here are my thoughts.
What kind of pool floaty? Giant flamingo? Unicorn? Donut?
No, I like an alligator one, so you can kind of lay out a little bit. You know?
Oh yeah, Florida. Yeah. See? I got you.
All right. That's gonna do it for episode 36 of the Fortnite update. Thanks for hanging out. If you're still watching this, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. We appreciate you guys.
Comment. Tell us what kind of floaty you like.
You can find me on twitch.tv/Drnkie and my co-host TheFlood.
For twitch.tv/TheFlood.
The Flood. All right, everybody. See you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.